everyone. Welcome to WEEDSPEEK. Tonight we are going to be pre-recording this episode due to the technical difficulties that Relevnt is having, so this will re-air at another time. Tonight our guest is Kyley and Daniel. They're both from Massachusetts, Boston. Hello, Daniel. Hello, Kyley. How are you both?
Hi, Trisha. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Kyley?
I'm good.
All right, so tonight's episode is about cannabis and the medical use of cannabis. Kyley is a medical patient that I've done previous episodes with before on Sprinkle Some Love with a Cause podcast show, where over there we've discussed medical issues in general. It's kind of not cannabis related, but she's considering cannabis for her epilepsy and gastroparesis, and as well as anxiety as well. So Daniel, you're from Boston, Massachusetts as well. Let's first start off with, we have to first develop before we can recommend or not recommend, what are the laws in Massachusetts? I'm going to hand that over to you.
Okay. The laws in Massachusetts for cannabis is that since 2015 it became legal, recreational and medically. So you can either go get a medical card at a doctor of your choice, or I know one that I go to, or you can use recreational. I suggest you go medical because recreational, they charge 20% tax if you go to any dispensary. If you go to the dispensary 4 or 5 times, you already paid for your license for medical. It's about $125, $250 a year, depending on which doctor you go to. And they write it for so many ounces, and you're allotted so many ounces. They keep an eye on the card. And the state of Massachusetts, the Cannabis Control Commission, controls that card. So if you buy a gram of flour, they take away a gram. So,
wait a minute. So I'm confused. So they monitor the amount that you're allowed to have per month, basically, or is it weekly, or what's the timeline?
It depends how much you use. Say your doctor allows you 13 ounces. 13 ounces, it revolves every 60 days. So if you spend 20, say if you go to a dispensary, you buy...
Oh, no, I'm getting it now. I get it. So if you're saying if you're allowed 13 ounces and you purchase in 60 days 4 ounces, then they would minus that from the 13, away. And then...
You're right. So that's the one thing with medical you got to keep an eye on.
And it's recreational there, though, you said as well. What's the recreational policy if you didn't want to get a doctor, you just wanted a recreational?
You just go in there with an ID, and that shows you're over 21. And it's very expensive, though.
So there is a price difference. Is it just like a 10% difference, or how big would you say? Like if you paid for a gram medical there, what would that cost? Okay. Medical, and then what would a gram recreational cost?
Okay, well, a gram recreational, you could pay anywhere. I don't buy it by the gram, but they sell it $10 or $15 a gram, depending on which you buy. And that's medically. You pay 10. If they charge 10, you pay 10. Now, if you buy the same gram recreational, they charge 10. They're going to charge you $2 on that $10.
Oh, so it'd be like 13 tax. Or 14 a gram around?
No.
Okay.
It's going to be 20% more. No matter what you say, if you spend $300, that's going to be $60 in tax.
Wow, that's crazy.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, that is. So at the recreational stores, though, can you get like edibles and all the same products as you could as a prescription medical?
All the same products.
Okay, awesome. So Kyley, what are your questions about cannabis? Since it is recreational there, it's totally up to you, but there is a choice for medical for you to discuss with your doctors as well. But for you, because of your seizures and everything, Kyley, I definitely think that you need a medical opinion, perhaps.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your medical issues for a second. Give everyone a little bit of a basic rundown of what you suffer from and how old you are.
Okay. So So I've been going through this for a while. I'm 29, so I might be off on the age because I was in medical-induced coma last year.
Correct.
So I have trouble remembering, for one. But I always had GP issues.
GP is gastroparesis, which is paralyzation of the stomach or delayed emptying.
I know about it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, my wife has it.
Your wife has gastroparesis?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry to hear.
She did all that stuff.
Lord.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that, too.
Thank you.
I've had this for a while, but I've noticed over the last couple of years the GP with my Barters, which is my medical condition, it is a loss of potassium and magnesium and all the other electrolytes. It's one of the rarest conditions that they have around. So I always go into the hospital for it, but my gastroparesis always brings on episodes of my potassium being worse.
Yes.
In the last year, I was in a medical-induced coma because my potassium was so bad that it made my heart stop.
Oh.
And at 29, it's nothing fun to deal with any medical issues. But I have learned to push through it because if we weren't given it to us, it's because we weren't able to deal with it.
Correct. So now what would you like to accomplish with cannabis for your medical treatment? I know that when you and I spoke before, we discussed like your eating and things like that. What would you like to see happen for cannabis as part of your treatment?
I would like to see it help my pain, my gastroparesis, because I know sometimes it can help with nausea and the slow, the movement in the stomach.
It also gives you the
with
munchies,
the GP.
and the munchies definitely can help you gain weight. Even if it's still, if you're, I don't know, are you still on the tube?
Yes, but I am trying. That's one reason why I want to do cannabis, because I want to try to get this feeding tube out.
Right.
I need that appetite. I need to be able to get my appetite back.
Okay.
Yep.
And with GP, it's not fun.
No.
I'm never hungry, and it just gets aggravating.
Lord, I know how that is.
Cannabis can help that.
Cannabis definitely will. Did it help your wife as well, Daniel?
She, unfortunately, we can't use her for an example because she does not use cannabis. I tried. She's been on CBD here and there, but not the way you should use it. She's very leery. She wouldn't take a pain pill if for anything. She's very, very tough to convince as far as she did all for me on the cannabis for my conditions, and she agrees with it, but she's afraid of any THC effects.
Okay, so the fear. What are your concerns, Kyley? Do you have fears as well, possibly with the effects of cannabis?
The truth is, I really don't, because I normally I try whatever I can to get my appetite back. I try normal stuff, and nothing works.
Yeah, you got to be, as long as you're open to it, then you give it a try and listen to a physician or two about your conditions, and let you weigh in on their opinions, and then you make your own, or you ask advice of Trisha. Trisha can ask other people as well, me to other people, and you can get some guidance that way as well, as far as when you go to your doctor.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also think that even you could benefit with your epilepsy, because originally epilepsy is one of the main diseases that cannabis became legal for is because
Right.
of how much it helps with seizures, and the type of seizures that it helps with are the major, the grand mal seizures as well. So I definitely think that you would be a good candidate for a cannabis trial or something to see if it does work for you or not, but under your doctor's care, because you have so many
Right.
ongoing medical conditions that you want all of your doctors to be aware of what you're doing and adding to your body. Just so that way, if it does cause any fluctuations in any of your other health issues, they would know how to properly manage that or be prepared. I always would say normally, oh, just smoke, it's not a big deal. But for people who are chronically ill, it depends on which diseases you have and how much you smoke and how you consume it, things like that. So definitely make sure with your doctor that they're all on board and that they think it would be a good idea for something for you to consider. Just so that way you make sure that everything is okay.
I already contacted one of my physicians, and it's my pain doctor. She is gonna write me a medical note too on top of it.
How did that visit go? I didn't know you had that.
I had it for a while, but I know I talked to her a while ago about it, and she doesn't change her mind easily back to no. So a while ago when I asked her about it, she's like, yeah, I think you should try it, because what if that helps you and you can be less in the hospital with GP issues?
So she supports it.
She does. She's always supported it. When I asked her, it's my other doctors I got to talk to. It's the primary and my
1 second, Daniel wanted to ask
nephrologist.
you something, Kylie. Yes, Daniel?
Kyle, you talking about your pain doctor agreeing with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you mind if I ask you? I was on pain medicines for 25 years. And cannabis helped me get off my pain meds. I was on narcotics for a long, long time. I had a bad accident from playing sports, professional sports, and I was on narcotics and I was hooked on them. So what do you take for narcotics, if you don't mind me asking you?
So I do take pain meds by mouth, pills, and it is oxy, but I am trying to get off of it.
You take oxys?
Yes, she said, and she
Yes.
is trying to get off of them, and she takes them orally.
You take them orally, right?
So I am. That's one reason why I wanted to cannabis. Cannabis, like the medical one, because I am trying to get off of it. Because I don't know if that could be a reason why the GP is getting worse.
Well, it definitely doesn't help your bowels, that's for sure.
No, that's why one reason, Daniel, I am trying to move to the medical marijuana for it.
You got to do what you got to do for yourself. So you got to make the choices for yourself. If you have to take it, you take it. But the goal is because some of these pharmaceuticals, even my wife that she takes, she's on a lot of prednisone, and she's been on it for too long. She falls down, she breaks. And right now, because of prednisone, she'll be off soon. She's on another different type of medicine for her.
Did she develop osteoporosis from it?
Steroids? No, she's on prednisone.
Yeah, but you said if she falls down, she breaks. Is that because her bones are brittle?
Yeah, from the prednisone. If you read about prednisone, it's a steroid. You take that for all the inflammation inside your body for autoimmune diseases. Yeah. And any kind of stuff that you can't get at, they take that for inflammation. And they don't want you to take them for too long, but autoimmune, that's the only thing that really works in the shot. And it makes your bones like Swiss cheese.
Correct. Is she doing Prolia injections to help that?
Yeah, she was doing that in the beginning, but she's off of that right now. And with they have her on another medicine, and they're weaning her off the prednisone. But
okay.
That's a whole different story.
Definitely.
That's another medical issue.
Definitely, but let's go back to the cannabis part. I definitely do feel like there's a lot of negativity from the medication that you're on, Kylie, for the even with the seizures, like if you are on those for so long and then you stop cold turkey or, things like that, it can make the seizures worse or develop different kinds. There's a lot of issues with that long term, even with constipation issues when it comes to Oxycontin. So on top of delayed issues, there's going to be constipation issues, which is even more harder. There's a lot of issues that come with it. Even though you're out of pain, the benefits sometimes for long-term use don't outweigh the benefits. If it's a short-term use, like a hospital stay or, a couple months, yes. But if it's long-term use for chronic illnesses, that's where it becomes a bigger issue. So I definitely think making sure that you could try to de-wing off of that and switch to cannabis would really be long-term beneficial, because cannabis helps the epilepsy for sure, and it helps the gastroparesis for sure. As far as the Bardenson syndrome, I kind of did look a little into it, but I'm not 100% sure because it is a rare disease. It just depends on each person's case and what else is going on and what their potassium levels is or ain't. So I don't know. That's kind of where I think that getting your all your doctors on board would be a positive thing for you, especially because you've already had heart issues from the secondary issues from the potassium levels. So I think that cannabis would help you, like, in all of your diseases. I don't see how it wouldn't. Even like a positive way, more than just pain, in a positive way where Oxycontin is not helping you in a positive way. In any of those ways, it's actually hindering each disease a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's tough to get off of.
It is. I personally don't have that experience or knowledge to give you, but I do know others that have, and it's very hard from what I understand. And cannabis seems to be the savior for many. And I would follow that. It seems like that's the golden path if you're going to try to de-wing yourself from the pharmaceuticals, but yet you still need some form of pain management. You can't just live with a chronic illness with no pain management.
And it's hard too when you're in the hospital and you can't smoke.
Well, that's when you would go back to hospital stays, is where you would use pharmaceutical medications. But when you're not admitted to the hospital, you would go back home to your other regimens. And I do believe whenever you're at the hospital, you got to do what they do. And obviously, cannabis isn't at that legal point yet, where when we're in a hospital bed, they'll just bring us an edible. You know how nice that would be? Serve me an edible, please. Let me ring that. Let me push that button. That would be awesome. You know what? No, bring it in a bong form today, please. Maybe today's a dab. Yeah, I'm feeling kind of dabby.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
We'll have berries for breakfast. We'll eat some berries.
But no, we get, instead, we get our options of a button of this medication or this medication or that medication. But right now, we're not at that point. So, but you still can't be in the hospital in chronic pain when you're having a chronic illness and you're obviously not doing well because you're admitted. So when you're admitted, you have to do the pharmaceutical options until time changes. But when you're not admitted, if your doctors agree upon de-winging you upon release so you could go back to your cannabis pain options, that's something you guys could always work out and discuss.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking to her when I go see her shortly.
I wish that we could just, I wish the pharmaceutical company would get on board, because then those options for us would be available, some form of options, or maybe some form of cannabis pill. They have capsules and pills now. I would take a cannabis capsule versus an Oxycontin capsule if I was admitted in the hospital, and the choices were given to me. I obviously know which one I would choose. So... when that day and age comes, hey, hopefully I'm still here. But
yeah, me too.
I hope it's not that far away. I hope that the pharmaceutical company gets on board.
I hope they do get on board, because that would help us a lot.
Yes. So what kind of... No, go ahead, Daniel.
And you're only 29?
Yeah, she's only 29, yep.
You're only 29. You're very young, so that's good for you. That you're starting early, and you will open for choices to try cannabis. And if you're willing to try it, which way would you be willing to try it? Smoke it, edibles, vape it. Do you know which way?
More smoking or edibles?
Smoking or
Do you smoke
edibles?
cigarettes?
No, I don't, but I normally smoke marijuana. That I do.
Oh, you have been smoking
Okay.
marijuana now, Kyley?
At home, but I am trying to get medical because I think
Okay, so let's
with
talk
my
about that for a
doctors,
moment. How long have you started now? Because I didn't know you recently did that. Like, I know before we were
I
talking about it, but
on and off I was trying, but when you go to the hospital, it's like I get some of the doctors they look at me like, what the hell is wrong with you? Excuse my language.
Yeah.
They look at us like, what is wrong with you? You shouldn't be smoking. And I'm looking at them like, I understand your decision, but you're not the one that is living my life.
so how long have you been using cannabis now?
So I always tried once in a blue moon, but I have tried to I've gone back to it within the last maybe on and off for a month or two.
So, okay, so normally you would just smoke it once in a blue moon, like a rare occasion, and now for
Yeah.
the last couple weeks you've been, I know you were in the
Yeah.
hospital like a month ago or so, so since you've been released from the hospital, you've started smoking a little more regularly. How do you feel when you smoke now? How have you been feeling since you've started adding it to your regimen?
It does help with pain. I have noticed it helps with the pain a lot.
What pain and
But
where in your
also-
body have you noticed a change at specifically?
The GP pains you get in your stomach.
Okay, so your abdomen pain. Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of leg pain I get because of my normal Barter syndrome.
So it was helping with that as well. That's really good. And how
I
often are
haven't
you
noticed
smoking now?
a difference with
what would you
appetite
consider?
yet, though.
What would you consider regularly? Like once a day, twice a day? Right now, how often are you consuming?
Once a day right
Once
now.
a day?
But I am going to try to go more.
But you've
I
noticed
live
a
with
change already with once a day in just a few weeks.
Yeah.
That's
but
amazing.
I also live with my grandmother. I live with my grandmother.
Right. I know you live with your grandma, so it's hard.
Mhm.
But that is amazing. Just to hear that you've noticed the change in such a short time and only as once a day. That's amazing. What about your seizures? Have you noticed any lesson or any changes in that or any signs or symptoms of anything?
I have noticed I get headaches, so I try to be careful when I get them because I've noticed I go into seizures when I have headaches. But lately, they've decreased a little bit, and I've noticed it.
So you've gotten less headaches, is what you're saying?
Yes.
That's
and less
good.
seizures.
And then less
Now,
seizures.
excuse me. When you have a seizure, you smoke. You smoking the cannabis, and you're saying you have a little bit less seizures when you're smoking it as well.
Yes.
Okay. Have anybody ever told you about RSO oil? You heard of that?
No.
Seizures.
Nobody has.
Nope.
Never have?
No.
Okay, you should. The seizures, that RSO oil, you should look into it. They sell it at the dispensaries.
Yes, RSO is for Rick Simpson oils, and that's what they use for epilepsy specifically.
Yes, correct. Yeah, it's good for seizures. So that's something you can talk to a cannabis doctor. I would recommend you getting your cannabis card myself personally. Even if you're not even going to use it that much. I mean, I don't know what your income is, your financial status, but it's anywhere from $125 to $250 depending on where you go for the year.
I'm going to get a medical card then.
Yeah, and you'll save more money buying your card with the taxes and the price differences as we just discussed.
Yeah, you save the money. Yeah, and they give you deals. You get deals. I mean, unless you go black market, you get your cannabis now. Where do you get it from? Black market?
When you're getting your cannabis, Kyley, right now, are you just getting it from like a local friend, or are you is your friend going to the dispensary and buying it with your recreational, or how are you purchasing the marijuana?
Just Is it okay if I don't say that?
Yeah, you don't have to say that.
Yeah, you don't have to.
She
Okay,
it's like a
it's
gift
fine.
from a friend, basically, is
That's
what
fine.
she's
I hear
getting.
you.
A
That's
gift.
fine. No, you don't have to say. All right.
Because I know that a lot
You
of people.
gonna
Yeah,
save money
okay.
that way. But the only thing is that if you do go medical, there's places you can go where it's organically grown, and everything. There's no pesticides used, no nothing.
Yes, and that's important because of your seizures and
That's
your
very,
medical
very
conditions.
important.
That's why it's important you
That's
get your
fine.
card and you purchase
Yes.
correctly. Because if you're smoking something that wasn't tested and you don't know where it was grown or what products were used to grow it, you don't know what you're consuming. Even though it is pot and cannabis, you don't know what products are on it and you're burning and what those effects will have on your medical issues. That's why, yeah, or your lungs too. Like, that's why it is important to get your medical card and go to the correct places to purchase. If you're not using it for recreational purposes, because people who are healthy who purchase it that way, it doesn't really have as big of an effect on them. They bounce back and kick back easily from the simplest things, where people like you and I are not as lucky. So those effects might be different.
Right.
You feel me, Kyley?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Because we aren't always lucky.
Yeah. So that's perfect. So what are your other questions or concerns do you have as you're starting this new journey? I didn't know you started already. I'm really excited to hear that. So.
Yeah.
So what are your other questions?
I do have a question. Because of my income, are you able to get a medical waiver? I wasn't too sure.
For the card, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, because I do have, I get SSI, so are you able to do that?
No, you can't. I get SSI myself. And I get SSDI. That's Social Security Disability Insurance, okay?
Yeah.
I was in a bad accident. I was forced to retire. No, you cannot, even though it's medical, can't use any of your insurance for it. Not yet. I'm hoping that changes down the road, but I don't see that happening with the government.
So here in the state of Michigan, there is a waiver, and I think she's talking to something a little different, where if you are on Social Security Disability, you go through, there's a form you fill out and you send to your state, and then it makes your fee like $25 or $50 or $75 or something like that here for the license instead of the normal 100 or 150 or something like that. I don't know what it's gone up to now. It's been a while since I've looked into those things, but I think she's asking about a waiver like that. Is there something like that because she's disabled that she can get the fee, like a discount or something?
Certain doctors will give you a discount. It's all up to the doctor.
Do you have a doctor that you could recommend to her on or off air, whatever you recommend? Is there a doctor? Because both of you are in the same city.
On the air right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where you live, but I've been Dr. Uma Delabad. Her name is Uplifting Health and Wellness. I give you the phone number. You call and you can make an appointment. My wife's got an appointment with her next week to talk about her gastro issues.
So she's going to consider cannabis as well for her treatment.
Well, CBD, not cannabis. It can't be any psychoactive effects for her at all.
So CBD, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, it's got to be the right kind because there's so many different CBDs. It's unbelievable.
There definitely is.
That's a whole nother area. But I think cannabis for pain. I think I myself personally, if you got pain, I have a lot of inflammation. I've had fusions done on my discs and stuff and taken out and a lot of stuff. And I think the higher the THC for me, the more it helps my pain.
Definitely. So what are your primary reasons? You said pain, but what are your medical issues that you're using cannabis for currently?
Me?
Yes.
I use it for anxiety. I use it for pain. I use it for basically most of it's for inflammation and pain. Most of it.
And
anxiety.
You notice obviously a difference, or what would you say?
Oh, big difference.
What is
big
the difference that you notice is actually the question. Let's ask that. What's the difference?
Okay, well, I have more range in my neck than I didn't have before, even on pain pills.
So you can move your neck more. You can flex it, bend up and down, look up and down without physical pain.
Yeah, I can turn further because the swelling goes down. There's the cannabinoids. There's some whatever's in it in the cannabinoid system is great for swelling. Been used for years and years and years. It takes down the inflammation, and I have a big problem with inflammation throughout my whole body. Knees, back, neck, shoulders. I've had probably 8 to 10 surgeries in my shoulders alone and 4 in my neck.
How did you accumulate those issues? Did you have an injury or? Well,
sports. A lot of it was sports related. I played hockey, and it's a tough sport. And a lot of times I had to go in for surgeries for certain things, and then I got in a bad accident. I rolled over in a tractor, and then I had some surgeries for that. So there's a lot of surgeries I've had for different reasons, but mainly because I've heard something playing sports.
Yes, I remember you telling me about your hockey team. Who did you used to play for again? I remember you telling me in the past, but I can't recall.
The Bruins.
Say that again?
The Bruins.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. For years and years and years. And then I played baseball, too, until I was 30, 40 years old. I was playing in the minor leagues in baseball, too. And then, and see, I have another issue I have, and it runs in my family, is addiction. Addiction runs in my family. So you got to be careful with medicines in my family. You can become addicted to a lot of stuff. Gambling, you can become addicted to pain pills, you can become addicted to a lot of stuff.
So is that what led you on your journey to cannabis, was to make sure you weren't part of that addiction cycle?
I've always used cannabis when I was younger, but I took it for granted. I used it for different reasons when I was a young kid. But now, as I got older, I found out the issues that I was dealing with, it treated them. You know what I mean? I wasn't really getting the effect of it because I was doing other stuff when I was younger, but now it treats those things. I don't have any desire whatsoever. Like, it's going to be a problem with she's going to have in Massachusetts. I don't know about other states. Massachusetts is very, very tough when it comes to pain meds now. My doctor has problems with me taking cannabis and using OxyContin. I used to use it all. Not OxyContin. I used to use oxycodones, 60 milligrams at a time, 3 a day, and she told me, if you're going to take cannabis, because it slows down your heart rate as well. When you at nighttime, you indica, it slows down your heart rate. If you take the medicine with that, it can slow down your breathing to a point where you can stop breathing.
Are you hearing that, Kyley?
Yeah, and Trisha.
Yeah, so you got to consult with the doctor. That, you got to be up when you met with your cannabis doctor. And if you use the one I have, she's the best. She travels the whole world, and she's really good. She's been doing it. She's been leading it for a long time, 2014, maybe even early 13. And if you tell them what you're on, they'll help you wean off the amount. But the only thing is, if you truly don't want to get off those pain medicines, get rid of that doctor, because eventually that doctor's going to cut you off. In Massachusetts, going to put you into a pain management after that. Now you got to be willing to want to do that. Are you willing to want to do that? Get off those, to get away from that pain doctor.
Yeah.
That
eventually is what's going to happen.
Right, you'll have to choose between one or the other. You can't be on both, and you'll have to do from the OxyContin to get onto the cannabis. Obviously, like he said, the heart issue that's a serious issue if you're on both. So you definitely need to be under the monitoration of the doctors and have both of them on the same page while you're in the de-winging process.
Yeah, But don't get me wrong. There are pain management companies in Massachusetts that will allow you to use some narcotics and cannabis. They will. Some will. Most of them won't, but there are some that will. So I don't want you to think that you still can't use the both, but they're going to cut you back and try to get you and not recommend you to use both of them at the same time.
Yes, the FDA doesn't actually like both, and that's where that comes into play, is the FDA who runs the doctors. The doctors have some windows of leeway, of opportunities for the de-winging process, but if you don't take that during the opportunity, then you get cut off cold turkey. And if you get cut off cold turkey, that's where seizures and epilepsy issues start to come into play, and you already have those.
Anxiety.
Yes, you can't just, after being on Oxycontin for consecutive years for chronic illnesses, you can't just cold turkey stop. And it's not like a 1 week or 2 week process because of how long you were on them for, and maybe how often or how much or what form. Because I know often, for those of you who don't know Kyley specifically, she is in the hospital literally 3 months at a time, and then she goes home for like a couple weeks, and then it's like another 3 months, and then it's like she's home for a couple weeks, and then another 3 months, and it's always ongoing, these hospital stays for her. So cannabis could truly be life-changing if she does it correctly, and she does it with doctors' help and care.
Yes.
Hopefully it'll eliminate those long-term hospital stays.
Right.
The one thing that's what I wanted to try to do is be able to get out of the hospital a lot more than being in, because if it wasn't for my potassium issue or the GP, I've noticed that if I didn't have GP, my potassium would not be dropping every couple of weeks. Even though my condition is always low, I've noticed when I get a flare-up, then I know I'm right in the hospital within a day or two of that flare-up starting.
Okay. Well, I definitely think that you're right, because you're obviously with a paralyzed stomach, you're not gonna be able to digest and break down the food to get the proper vitamins. And without the proper vitamins, your potassium levels aren't going to be normal. And then with Bardet syndrome on top of it, they're already abnormal. So any more abnormalities put you into the hospital. So managing your potassium levels is really important for you. Are you doing any at-home care for that right now to prevent the next hospital stay?
Right now, I am doing peel by mouth, which with GP, that doesn't always work.
Okay, but you are using by mouth option for that.
Yes,
that's
right
a
now.
good sign.
And then we are going to be doing going back to my home infusion that we usually do. Okay. We're just waiting for my lab work to come in, which after I get off the phone with you guys, I will be calling my on-call doctor to see if anything came back, because it should have been back already by now.
Yes, and then at this point, you just it looks like you're already made the decision. You've already started the process. At this point, you just got to get the prescriptions and get the doctors on board so you can start the next phase of this transition that you're about to go through. I'm really excited to see how well cannabis does work for you compared to the pharmaceutical medications.
I know I'm going to always be on the potassium.
Yes, but that's fine. Those aren't considered the pharmaceutical narcotics is what we're discussing. The pharmaceutical narcotics is what's causing. See, there's a difference from an alpha blocker medication and a receiver and a receptor medication. A blocker is what all your pain medications are, and they're blocking the pain. Where cannabis has cannabinoid receivers, and they're receiving the messages. Let's just use in like a layman's term with like love and like all this good stuff, and the effects that they give, the ripple effects that come from anything you put into your body, are positive because there's good receptors, so they're there waiting, like they're ready to help you off the ship and keep on going to the next operation. where a blocker is completely something different, and it has a wall of a block up, and then when you let go and you quit that block up, there's an overload, there's an issue, there's a withdrawal, there's all these other issues that come to play, and it's a blocker. It's not actually made for your body to receive. It's actually just blocking the messages so your body can't send and receive the messages that it needs to, which is the pain here, where cannabis comes in and interferes and takes over the operation in a positive manner with good positive ripple effects, where, you know, blocker medications or pharmaceutical pain medications, after they block, you always have a ripple effect, but it's never a positive one, like the constipation issues we talked about from narcotics, like the not being able to fully sleep at times.
It's toxic.
There's a lot of toxic issues, your heart rate issues when you're using it, or this or that. There's a lot of issues that those ripple effects sometimes don't always outweigh the benefits.
It's put it this way, it's synthetic, it's not natural.
Right, especially for long-term use. And it's, you know, long-term use, it's okay, like, if you're having a surgery, or if you just had, you know, something traumatic happen in your life where your body is going through a lot of different changes. But when this is a chronic illness, something where we live with for the rest of our lives, how can you expect us to be on this forever? Our organs, my kidneys couldn't even handle forever Oxycontin. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that is never going to be cured. I'm going to be like this, and from the day I wake up till the day I die. And that's what we as chronically ill people have to accept. So go on the holistic option when there is not a deadline. Like, even with cancer, okay, good. You're either going to die or you're going to go through chemo and radiation and you're going to make it. Then you're going to be okay. But there's a way this too shall pass phase, where there is no this too shall pass, because these are chronically ill people, like, who don't have a cure. So you can't just forever be on pharmaceutical medications for pain, because this is never going to pass. Like, how do you expect my organs to forever function? Your kidneys, your liver, your pancreas, like your bowels, your whole entire body as one.
And your brain.
Yeah, your brain too. Like, you're always under the influence of those, where psychedelics affects your brain completely different than a blocker as well. So it's definitely important to know what you're putting into your body. And I'm fine with putting a blocker in my body short term, but long term, that's where you and I have like a forever problem, because my body wasn't made to take that forever. And if you you're gonna be ruining. It's like putting oil in the wrong spot in your car. Your car is not going to function the same, if at all.
It's easier said than done, too.
It is. It totally is. And I get that as well. But that's where I'm so proud that you've identified the forever part. That's where cannabis comes into effect. Yeah, and the forever part, realizing that these diseases are forever, so changes do have to be made if you want to start getting healthier, because band-aiding and blocking symptoms isn't gonna be what gives you a longer or a healthier life in the long run, like the forever term. So go ahead, Kyley.
No, I agree with you.
Right. So I mean, at this point, I'm excited just to kind of sit back and watch your journey unfold now, and be there to support you and encourage you along the way. And, you know, possibly help questions. Now, Daniel, he's a really nice friend of mine. He lives in the same city. Both of you live in Boston, Massachusetts. So I specifically chose him as our co-guest tonight so he could help advocate you in the legal process. And if you want to also reach out to him, I could give you guys each other's contact information, and he could help you with the doctor. He knows all the doctors, and you know, he's been in the cannabis industry for many years. You know, and you know, to me, I feel like age.
I'm a lot older than you too.
Yeah, I was gonna put that out there. The age is so important because he has the knowledge with that age and the experience, and he has a personal experience of his own with the chronic issues, and then dealing with his wife with chronic illnesses, as you know. As well. So I feel like that's how him and I connected, and we just, you know, picked up this bond right away, is because of the chronic issues and the cannabis. He's a go-to for sure, and you're lucky that you guys live in the same area and he can give you all that good local information, because I don't really know I wouldn't know where to direct you or what exactly to do in Massachusetts, because I've never been there, let alone even been to a shop or a dispensary to know the quality of bud in each one or which one sells this or that. Like, he will have all your cannabis answers.
That I will. Do you mind if I ask you what city or state, town you live in?
So I live really close to Boston. I live in right near, like, between Fairhaven and in that area. So not too far.
You live in Revere?
No, I live, like, closer, which, if you figure by car, it's not far from you guys. I live right in, like, between, like, an hour from Boston. So literally close.
No, I understand.
I go to Boston.
No, I don't actually live in Boston, okay? I live in Stoneham. Do you know where Stoneham is?
Yes.
That's north of Boston, near Salem, Stoneham, Wakefield. You say you're in Revere, Lynn, right?
Yep.
Okay, you're over by the Lynn Way?
I don't drive because of my potassium and everything. Okay. So when I drive, I can figure that out for you. I don't drive. Okay. I usually get rides.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but she's in that general area up that way. Like, she's.
I'm in that area. I know the whole area like the back of my hand, where you are.
Yeah, so like close to like Fairhaven, Fall River, New Bedford, all that area.
Medford too,
so,
right?
Like,
yep.
Everett, Medford, not a problem. I know the whole.
Yeah, he's from there. I told you. He's got all the answers to all the questions.
It's by car. It's an hour or two from you guys, so it's not far.
Yeah, not even. We can go to one end of the state to the other in 2 hours.
Yeah, it's not far.
So,
really? I never knew that. We can't do that here in Michigan.
No. You can fit three of us into Michigan. We're small, but
we're very small.
I can help you. I'm retired, so if you can take down my information and I can help you. You can call me. If I was available to give you a ride somewhere sometime, I could. Not all the time because I have grandkids and I'm always busy myself as well. But sometimes I'm available to give you a ride.
And one good thing is, I have good family, really good family. That if I need a ride, any of them, I know I have people to come and get me.
Right.
So I'm glad to have the family I have to support.
Yes, I'm amazing.
Okay, great.
Yes, but yeah, definitely his offers are great, and he's right there. He'll tell you all the places. Like, just don't. Once you start, though, you don't want to go without your medication because of transportation issues or other things like that. So I think he's just trying to be helpful. And
I appreciate it because that comes out, and I really do appreciate his offer.
And as well, when you go, if you start to use cannabis, you get questions about any stores or where can I go or what you if you need to any questions like that. You may not. You may have people give you already, but if you do, I'm open. You can call me for anything to do with cannabis at all.
Thank you. I appreciate that offer because I'm pretty sure I am going to need like questions of where to go and stuff like that. So. Yeah, I do really appreciate your offer, really.
Yep, I can give you my phone number if you want to take it.
Yeah, let's not do that part on air, though. We'll do that part in Messenger. But yes, I am really excited to hook the two of you up because he will answer all your questions. So at this point, I appreciate both of you guys coming on, and I look forward to doing a follow-up and seeing how your cannabis journey is working for you, Kyley, and if you start noticing a difference, if you're able to get the prescriptions or not, or what the process would be and how you go through it. So for sure, I look forward to it, and I thank you for joining us, and I thank you for joining us too, Daniel, and helping us and giving all the insight and great, help that you have been tonight. I appreciate both of you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Anytime.
Yes. Well, I hosted tonight's show on WEEDSPEEK, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. Even though I did have some technical difficulties with the app tonight, I'm going to go ahead and get that straightened out now, and hopefully we can get this one re-aired up there and over there for everyone to see. And I will also be re-airing it to my platforms, the 420 Smoke Room as well, for those of you who know me over there. Definitely join and follow as well, both platforms, WEEDSPEEK and 420 Smoke Room on the Relevnt app. We did have a lot of updates for anybody else who having problems. Just uninstall and reinstall your app. But honestly, I didn't have time to figure it all out right now. At 5 o'clock, we were supposed to be live, so I just kept on going with the plan.
Yep. Yeah, I hear you.
So I thank everyone, and until then,
well.
I will talk to you all later.
Great job, Trish.
Thank
nice
you.
meeting you.
Great job. Great job, Trish.
And,
nice to meet you.
Any information you need, you can get in touch with me. Trish, you can give me information, or you can get it from me.
Definitely. After the show, I'll message you guys each other's info, and I'll talk to you both later.
Great.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.
Have a great night, girls.
You too.
You too.